Hi everyone, in this video I'll teach you how to create your title lockup in Adobe Illustrator. So if you do not already know, in terms of setting up your artboard, you go to File, New, type in your dimensions for your A5 flyer, 105 across and 148 vertically, click Create. So that will have your artboard already set up within the space here. These two tabs actually mean that there are two workspaces that are in here, so I'll just focus on this workspace here. Our first step is to place in our sketch just so that we can trace our title lockup on top. So we go to File, Place, locate the sketch, Scan, and click Place. So the image will appear a little small together with some icons that actually denote that image. Just click down on any part of the artboard and your image will appear from there. Hover your mouse along the corners of the image, click and hold Shift to scale that down. So as long as your sketch is within the space here of the A5 page, that will be it. So I'll scale it up a bit just so that I create it as big as possible. Once I'm happy with that size and positioning, I'll click on lock so that I'll lock this layer here. So I won't be able to click and shift this layer as I start to trace my text on top. The next thing is to create another layer on top, and that is where I'll work on my title lockup. So if you like to rename that layer, you can as well. Double click on the name and type in title lockup. So we keep working on this layer for our title lockup creation. We will only create the words within Illustrator because the rest are images, and images are usually created in Photoshop. So as we go throughout the whole title lockup creation process, it is a good practice to keep saving your work because you do not want to lose your changes. So by doing that, you can go to File, Save As, save this in the designated project folder, and title that advertising flyer design, title lockup, and your name at the back. Click Save, just click OK, and your file is saved. Now we'll go to our text tool over here, click on that, click and drag out a box, and I can type in my first line of numbers, that is 2021 over here. You can see that the text does not quite match up to the edgy sort of look with 2021 here. So I'll begin to go to the fonts list that I can see up the top to see if I can match that sketch with any fonts that I have currently. So this font looks really similar over here. I can select that. If I like to bring that up bigger, I can increase the font size here. With this text, we're actually creating the front-facing shapes here, and we'll manually extrude the thickness of the text at the back later. So now that we've decided on the text here, we can go to Type, go to Create Outlines, and that will actually outline around each of the text here. Why we're doing this is because we do not want this to be a text type, but we want this to be a vector. So vector meaning a shape that we will detach from here and rearrange according to the diagonal angles that it has been designed to. So now that it's traced here, you can see that it is made up of geometrical points here, where it is a shape rather than a text here. Right-click on the vectors, click on ungroup, and this will ungroup each of the letters from each other. So this is what you want because we will begin to start placing them in the space below. So I'll just zoom out right now. I'll begin to use my selection tool, which I can hit V on my keyboard and start rearranging the letters. Once I'm done with the arrangement, I can zoom back out just to see how they look like as a whole. And I can take away the view of the sketch as well just by clicking on the eye icon in the layers panel. So by clicking on that, you can see that my letters are arranged as such. Now it looks like my text has a little bit of a gap here as opposed to the gaps here. I want to try and make this even in terms of the gaps in between that. So I'll just select that and I'll shift it in. So I still can make adjustments to the positioning as to how I would like them to be. The next step is to actually extrude my text because my text is looking a little bit 3D in my sketch there. So what I can do is to make sure that I'm selected and still working on this layer here. I can switch off my sketch just so it does not confuse me. Select that as a whole, copy using Ctrl+C, and paste using Ctrl+V. So that actually copies another set of 2021. I'll try to align this at the back of this text, and right now it's appearing a little bit confusing. So in order to tell apart the difference from each other, I can change the color, and that will actually help that stand out there. Because this is the extrusion of the text in the background, I can reorder my pink vectors to the back by going to Object, Arrange, and send backwards. Alternatively, I can also use Ctrl together with a rectangular bracket that faces the right on the keyboard, and that will send this back. So I'll click on this and I'll use my shortcut. So now you can see that my black text is just above the pink text there. The next step is to join these texts up to make that a little bit more 3D there. So I can use my pen tool, P for pen, and I can begin to plot those shapes. Same thing, I'll select this and I'll send this to the back using Ctrl bracket. Now that this is done, I'll proceed with the rest. Now that we're done with carrying out the 3D layer for the text, let me just zoom out. Do the same for the other text as you begin to fill in the different surfaces that you're able to view from your angle. The next step is to set the colors of the text in place. So let me just create another layer, and that will be our color palettes. So I'll just click on that. I want a new layer to appear on top of the image over here. So I'll name that as color palette. I'll begin to import my color palette in there. So earlier I have saved a screenshot of the color palette from Adobe Color. I'll click on File, Place, Color Palettes. So I'll place this here, zoom out a little bit, and just scale that color palette down. Right, so now that I have my color palette with me, I can just lock that layer. Activate my selection tool. So let's say, for example, I would like purple to appear on the front-facing text here. So I'll select all the front-facing shapes, click on the eyedropper tool, or just hit I on the keyboard, and pick that color with the purple there. So once I'm happy with that color, now I'll begin to select the colors that I'll use for the extrusion surfaces. So I'll just click and select all of this except the shape at the front. Click on my eyedropper tool, and let's say, for example, I like a darker color, so that will be this purple color here. If you find that the color for the extruded surfaces are similar to the ones in front, you can always change that as well. And that should stand out a little bit better over here. So I'll just zoom out just to see what's the effect. And if I'm happy with that, I can begin to change the colors for the rest of the other text once I'm done with extruding the surfaces there. If the asterisk appears beside your file extension, this means that you have not saved your file. So always remember, with each step, it is always a good practice to start saving your file. So you can do that by going File, Save, or Control Save with each move that you make on your file. So once that is saved, you can see that the asterisk has disappeared there. So all in all, you'll be carrying out the title lockup creation for just the text only for the rest of the sketches. So that includes Monash Sports Carnival. For the other images, you'll be carrying that out in Photoshop. Thank you.